I was recently recommended a video that I had to click on. And once I clicked on it, I was like, I've got to talk to my audience about this. It was very, very interesting. The video was called How We Made Over $1 Million After Love is Blind. And if you're not familiar with Love is Blind, no worries. I only recently learned what it is. It's a Netflix reality show. They said in the video that they each make about $500,000 just from their content creation careers. And Natalie shared that about 90% of that income comes from brand deals. That looks very different from my experience and a lot of the experience that I see in my community of folks who have, a little bit of a smaller audience. That said, doesn't mean we're not getting paid. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today is some ideas, unsolicited advice. They're not watching. I'm not their coach, but just want to share some things that I would do if I were in their shoes to diversify their revenue and to grow their income even further. Because I think it's totally possible for them each to be at 1 million individually, and also just kind of compare and contrast with my experience as a content creator who has, built my platform from scratch and has a much, much smaller audience overall. So some quick stats on them. Natalie has 706,000 Instagram followers. Deepti has 1.1 million. Their podcast's Instagram account has 131,000 followers on Instagram and 27,000 on YouTube. But as I'm sure you know, if you're a creator or work in this space, follower count is really just scratching the surface. It's important to also look at your engagement rate, your industry. Those are two factors that are going to impact either how much money you're going to be able to ask from brands and or what your conversion rates might be if you choose to sell something, which we'll get to in a minute. I also pulled up an article from The Leap that had some really interesting stats about kind of the content creation economy. Apparently, 45% of creators have multiple income streams, and 70% of creators earn less than 10% of their total income from brand partnerships. This really stood out to me because, again, Deepti and Natalie said that they earned about 90% of their income from sponsorships. And I think this is really showing the stark contrast between the macro influencer, the influencer with over 500,000 followers, compared to the more micro influencers or kind of mid-tier influencers, content creators, whatever we want to call us, like myself. I do a video at the end of every year, and I will be doing it this year once all the final numbers come in. But I share all of my different revenue streams and the percentage of income that they represent out of the whole pie. It's one of my favorite videos to do, and it's actually just a really helpful business exercise to help me plan for the year ahead. I don't have those final numbers, obviously. I'm recording this in October, but I can do a little estimate. So I am anticipating about 30% of my revenue this year to come from brand deals. And I'm actually really proud of that. I think that number is up from last year. It represents a pretty big chunk and a pretty good dollar amount as well. But it is certainly important to have multiple revenue streams, especially if you are a smaller creator. Natalie shared that her highest brand deal that she ever got paid for was $50,000. My impression was that this was for one Instagram post, which congratulations to her. That's 10% of her income right there. Now, the biggest brand deal that I've ever signed was actually for $60,000, but it was not for one post. It was an ongoing brand deal that had a lot of moving pieces to it and kind of was like an ongoing contract. And I'm still really proud of that. I think that number, I never expected a brand to pay me that much when I first started my career, especially with a smaller platform. But again, we got to look at the contrast here. As a macro influencer or large tier creator, it's more realistic for you to be able to rely on those big, huge paychecks to come in for one or two posts. For somebody like myself or like a lot of us watching, we either need to be working with brands on an ongoing basis and building really solid, close relationships with them, and or diversifying. And frankly, diversification is never a bad idea, no matter how large your audience is. Deepti kind of spoke about, I have no idea how long this influencer life is going to last. So there's some sustainability concerns there. And Natalie also volunteered that, she looks at her influencing, her content creation as a short-term career move. She said she can't see herself doing it forever and sharing her life because she is a private person. So obviously that's valid if she just wants to go back to the corporate world. But I think a lot of people tend to strike while the iron's hot once they, get a lot of attention from a show or from a collaboration, or maybe something's just trending, on social media. And so their industry, their vertical really does well that year, that month, etc. But once that kind of fades away, they may have a hard time sustaining this as a full-time career. And diversification is really a great way to enable you to keep doing the job that you love, to keep creating without having to constantly hustle for brand deals necessarily. So again, totally unsolicited advice here, but if I were Natalie and Deepti's brand manager, I think they mentioned that they got signed to a podcast network recently. So if I worked for that network, these are the things that I would recommend that they think about doing. The first thing, I would love to see them start a membership. Deepti and Natalie have really strong engagement across their social media profiles individually, but also as they're out of the pod's Instagram account and YouTube account. They have a lot less followers than me on YouTube, but their views are very, very high. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're talking about content that has a much wider mass appeal than my content of business and marketing does, right? But I also think that they just have really strong, engaging personalities. And I can definitely see from looking at their comments that their audience members are very engaged, that they love them, that they love to talk to them. And they would probably like to do that in a private forum if given the opportunity to. And because they were on a dating reality show, which is, so personal, it's something that everybody who doesn't want to find love, right? This is something that support and community could definitely be formed around, if you ask me. So some very quick math from a not so great at math person. Their combined Instagram audience is around 1.8 million. Now let's just say that they converted 1% of that total audience. That would be 18,000 conversions. 18,000 people would purchase 1%. That's pretty conservative, right? A lot of people can look at maybe 2, 3, 4% conversion, but let's just go on the low end, 1% of that total audience. And let's say that they created a membership, $5 a month. That's $90,000 a month. $90,000 a month of recurring revenue that they could see if they created a membership. What should they host in their membership? Well, I would love to see them do some Q&As. They don't really do a ton of those on their podcast. So going live, doing a live stream and doing just a quick Q&A, they could maybe share some kind of behind the scenes things about their experience on the show. They could also maybe share some dating advice, relationship advice for people who join the membership. Memberships are one of the areas that I'm actually working on building up in my business as well, just because while sponsorships are great, they can sometimes be fleeting. Some months are really, really good and others are not so good. So memberships enable me to have more stable, recurring revenue while also deepening the relationship with my audience. I'm actually relaunching the Freelance Friday Club next month. Seriously, in just a couple weeks. I am so excited. And the platform that I decided to go with is called uscreen. There are a lot of membership options available to creators nowadays, but uscreen really stands out because memberships are all that they do. They're laser focused on making it easy for creators to launch and run a lucrative membership business. uscreen's really built everything that creators need for their own membership. It's a complete membership platform offering everything from live streaming, where Deepti and Natalie could do those live Q&As, to chat rooms even, where they could give advice and talk to their members. And of course, there's the built-in community for the members as well. I'm really looking forward to using that feature in the Freelance Friday Club. What I really love about uscreen is that I can store all of my videos into collections, and I'm essentially using these as course playlists for my members. And I could drop new educational content in there each month. I'll also be using the community feature a ton. This is going to be our home for quick conversations and feedback, as well as challenges and the high-level mastermind that will be exclusive to my highest membership tier. The other thing that really sets Uscreen apart is that launching there allows me to have my own mobile apps, as well as TV apps like Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV, which gives my membership a Netflix-like look and feel. It's just so cool and accessible to my members wherever they choose to tune in from, and could be really great for Deepti and Natalie as well, considering they were on a Netflix show. And that is probably a way that their audience likes to engage with them is on their televisions. But I know that starting a membership can be intimidating, and that's the problem that uscreen has been dedicated to solving. So in addition to their platform built with the single focus of making running a membership easy, uscreen offers strategic guidance every step of the way with personalized onboarding and ongoing support from a membership expert who's assigned to help you succeed. And if you're already using a membership platform like I was, uscreen will migrate your content and your members for you. So if you are a YouTuber or a video creator and you've been considering a membership, definitely go chat with uscreen. Make sure to let them know that Latasha sent you. After just one call with a member of their team, you'll know the exact step-by-step plan, the revenue potential, and the effort required to run your own successful membership. They're a really great team to work with, so definitely reach out if memberships are something that you are considering. Now, another thing that I think the Out of the Pods crew, Natalie and Deepti, could really lean into are events. I had this idea when I was learning about Love is Blind, which is basically, the long story short, it's a show that's meant to help people realize if they can find love that is not just based on appearance. So they meet each other through these walls, they talk through walls, they don't see each other, and they just are getting to know each other based off of personality. And I was like, man, you know what would be really cool? Why don't they do a speed dating in-person real version of this show? Because I would never go on that show, okay? But if I were looking for love, I think that's actually a really cool way to do it, just not being filmed by reality cameras. So wouldn't it be cool if Natalie and Deepti went to bars all around the country and hosted these kind of live blind dating, speed dating events, right? I mean, I don't know. They can use that idea. I'm sure Netflix is probably like working on that idea right now. But I think things like that could be a really fun way to grow their brand and to get more engaged with their community. They could even do something like this in their membership that is a virtual option, but I think it'd be really fun in person as well. Other things to think about, especially for podcasters, are live podcast recordings. This is something I really want to do at some point. I've been to a couple of live podcast recordings, and it makes you feel like you're a part of something. It's a fun way to kind of soak up the energy, and you could easily sell tickets to something like that, to either of those options that I mentioned. Also, you could bring in brand support by getting brands to sponsor those events and pay you to speak. There could be a lot of different revenue options within kind of in-person type thing like that. Speaking of, Deepti is actually an author. So she wrote a book, which I applaud her for. That's awesome. We don't often think about books as products, because when I was originally mapping out this kind of revenue plan for them, I was like, should they have merch? And I guess they could, right? They could do t-shirts or whatever, but not that exciting and kind of a little bit overdone, but books are totally merch. I buy books. If I watch a creator, if I'm a fan of a podcaster and they release a book, I always buy it, even if I haven't gotten to reading it yet. I do it just out of support for them and to, have their name on my bookshelf. That's also something that I am working on. I am writing a book for that reason. Also, just for something for people to have, and of course, to go deeper on my area of expertise. But I think that's really smart that she did that. Now, she also said that because of that book, as a part of that brand that she was building, she's also been a TEDx speaker, which is awesome. Her whole message is all about self-worth and confidence. She had a storyline with just kind of a not so nice person, in my opinion. So she has this very empowering message and, is very motivational. Speaking is absolutely something that you can make a good amount of money from, especially if you have an audience. Event organizers nowadays are not just looking for amazing speakers, which it sounds like Deepti already is, But it also helps if you can promote the event to your following. And what I've actually done a lot is combined my speaking gig, my speaking fee, with also an influencer fee. So if a brand wants to pay me to come speak at their event, great, we'll do that. But if you also want me to vlog at the event or share the event tickets to my email list or to my Instagram following, etc., to help boost ticket sales, I can do that. And that's going to be an additional fee. So I definitely think that deepti especially, but I'm sure Natalie, she's also like super smart. She could probably talk about some things somewhere at some events. And lastly, I was trying to find some information on this. I couldn't find it. But I would love it if Deepti and Natalie started an email list if they don't have one already. I'm sure if they are signing to a podcast network, they are going to get on that. But an email list is a great way to, again, deepen the relationship with your audience and kind of be a way to funnel people into some of those other things that we talked about, like a membership, like any live events. It's going to be easier for them to sell those things if they build up an email list and get some people who are, really interested in learning about the podcast and the brand that they're building. And another area within that they could start making money right away from is affiliate links. I used to really sleep on affiliate links. I was like, you can't really make money from that, especially doing what I do or doing anything that's maybe, anything outside of like beauty and fashion. I kind of thought those were the only people who made money from affiliate links. But it looks like affiliate links are going to be around 10% of my total revenue this year, which is not huge, right? I can't live off of that necessarily, but it's a really nice little passive income stream where I only talk about things that I genuinely like. And I link to them, whether it is, a food item, a makeup item, a SaaS tool, so many other things. And it ends up being a really nice little paycheck every month, even when I'm not expecting it. And this is something that comes really in handy. Again, speaking to Deepti's point about not really being sure how long it could last, or even Natalie's about not wanting to share her life, forever. I got sick. I actually got like 2 kind of health issues back to back this year. And I was really unable to go quite as hard as I would like to or normally do. And I still made money those months, even though I wasn't able to post nearly as many videos or launch a new course. Actually, I had to push back a launch. I was still making money those months, and actually a decent amount of money those months, because work I had done months or even years before on YouTube videos where I was linking out to my favorite tool, for example, like HoneyBook, or linking out to a product that I bought online, or some of my favorite books that I've shared in the description box of my videos. Those things were doing work for me. So I could take that time off for myself and for my health. Or if I wanted to, like Natalie mentioned, wanted to just take some personal time and not have to share her life that month, you could absolutely do that by sending out a newsletter or employing some other type of affiliate marketing strategy. So that's what I would do if I were Natalie and Deepti's brand manager. And that's also my advice to you as a creator. If you are looking to build a full-time income by being a content creator, my advice is definitely to diversify. Think about all of these different revenue streams that you could use, not just relying on one, because you never know, when one could go. Or you might not want to just hustle that hard for a brand that month. You might get sick, right? So having that recurring revenue, having diversified revenue is always my best advice. Thank you so much to uscreen for sponsoring today's video. I am so excited to show you the all new Freelance Friday Club. And definitely if you are like, I want to start a membership, I'm not sure if it's right for me, reach out to them. They're super smart, super helpful, and they'll give you that step-by-step and tell you everything that's needed for your membership. Let them know that Latasha sent you if you do. I'll leave a link down below as well. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you in my next one. Bye.